Welcome to the Old Fart Geeks podcast. This week on our 11th episode, we discuss a bunch of old 16-bit retro tech stuff. Apples, IBMs, Ataris, and Commodores. I'm Jason Oakley. This is my co-host, Will Tomkinson. Hey, Will.
Hey, mate. How you doing?
Good. You ever have a Commodore?
Several. And then I went to the doctor and he removed them quite successfully.
Car or...
Yeah, both.
16 and 8-bit?
Yeah, Commodore 64s. Commodore... Actually, I've had... In terms of the cars, I've had the VB, the VC, the VH, the VK, the VL, and the VS, and the VN.
Quite lucky.
So I've had most of them. I've had both computer and car.
Geez, you're younger than me by like 10 years and you've had maybe a dozen more cars than I have had.
Oh, well, you pay like $300 for them. They're only going to last a year.
Mazda 808 and then Datsun 200B, then a Honda Civic and then a Honda Jazz. 4 cars, count them.
None of those are really cars.
I know, right?
And the fact that you admit to that's actually...
The 808 got recycled into a refrigerator because I was driving down a dirt road and started fishtailing and couldn't get out of it. And then they towed it away. But that was when I was about 17.
How did you have enough power or speed to fishtail an 808?
Really, really slippery dirt road.
Something.
In the middle of nowhere.
You'd be pleased to know, on the other hand, on the upside, that my show notes just crashed.
Hooray! Well, you don't read show notes anyway. You don't need to.
Well, no, this is true, but still daunting when you're in the middle of reading them and then they just go away.
They vanish.
And my audio started crackling again. So,
yeah, well,
yay, us.
If you don't mention it, nobody will notice. Shh.
We had a good show, Aussie Tech Heads, last night and had no problems at all. And then tonight we played with technical problems. So there you go. That'll teach us to try and have...
You did a bunch of streaming. You didn't have crackling, did you?
Streamed last night for about 3 hours. Streamed today for about 3 hours.
No problem. Time to do a show.
Yeah.
At least you don't stop like...
Oh,
clean.
man. If anybody watched the stream last night, you get to realise how bad that actually is. Tell you what though, it's got to be Skype because it doesn't do it any other time.
Yep, and somehow it affects you and me as well, which is the most bizarre thing.
Yeah,
when Glenn's on.
Yeah. So Glenn's Skype's faulty, so it affects everyone's.
Yeah. Maybe he have one of those super.
Super something.
They used to have super nodes for Skype until Microsoft took over and then got rid of all that.
Well, now everybody, it's a peer-to-peer now.
Yeah,
basically.
That's what's ruined it.
Yeah.
Keep the super nodes in would have been good.
I need to put my pop filter back on because I can hear myself popping.
Goes the wheelie.
It does annoy me somewhat.
So yeah, I thought we did 8-bit computers last time with the Commodore 64s and all the old retro-y stuff. So I thought we might do some of the 16-bits, give it a go this time. So from 1985 to around 1990, 16-bit graphical, 6-bit.
6-bit, wow. How did you achieve
I was researching, they had 4-bit first and then 8. I don't know where 6-bit ones came from. That must have been
the Cyrix chips.
Irish. So we can start off, we'll just do a bit of a switcheroo of the screen there. Apple's Macintosh introduced a new wave of computing technology built upon the Motorola 68000 processor and a sharp, high-quality graphic display. It was all monochrome, but it had a lot of fun games like the Sierra Online ones with where they have Police Quest and King's Quest and Knight's Quest and all of those.
I used to like King's Quest, that was fun.
Used to play those on my next door neighbour's computer. His dad bought a Apple, but mostly it got used by us playing games. And him creating animations of Snoopy characters all over the place, which was quite funny when you're a kid. I spent a lot of time playing on that. Innovative system software, parts which were built into the Mac hardware, provided a toolbox of standardized ways to draw on the screen, print to devices, work with disks and interact with users. This made it easier for developers to create a consistent set of new applications. Developers could focus on building new tools rather than spending a lot of time trying to set up basic user environment from scratch. Apple also defined system-wide standard keyboard commands and user graphic guidelines so that all applications behave similarly, making it easier for users to learn new applications and reuse what they learned in new programs. While DOS programs already made use of keyboard shortcuts, each application made up its own set of commands, and most weren't at all intuitive. For example, each of these DOS applications has its own way to open a new document. WordPerfect used command of F7 plus 3. WordStar used Control plus K plus O. Lotus 123 used slash to open the menu, W for workspace and R for retrieve. Microsoft Word used escape to open the menu, T for transfer, L for load, and on the Mac every application used the same command, O, which is a lot easier to remember across the systems. Apple also designated Z for undo, X for cut, C for copy, V for paste, and W to close a window. Microsoft later adopted Apple's intuitive commands for use in Windows over existing DOS equivalents. Although we still use Alt F4 to close a window, since PCs didn't have a command key, Microsoft mapped the commands to Control. At the time, DOS users were annoyed to have to unlearn their random commands to adopt the simplified intuitive commands originated by Apple. Today, however, Windows users often complain Apple uses command rather than Control, thinking that Apple originated the change just to be oddball and different when they were first. So,
well, it did by having a command key that made them oddball and different.
Yep.
Now, just to... I used to work for a company in Melbourne called Nucleus Computers. They're still up and running, and they have their computer museum where they get this stuff I don't know. But if you want to buy yourself...
There's a computer museum in Melbourne?
Yeah.
I did not know this. I would go check that out.
Nah, it's not really a computer museum. It's just stuff he's got for sale. But Mac Classic 2, 80 meg hard drive. Apparently includes an 80 meg and a hard drive and a floppy drive. A 9-inch black and white screen, keyboard and mouse, $400. So you can buy yourself a Mac Classic for $400 if you want.
There you go.
Or a Commodore 64 Pro, new in box, including joystick, $400. Or a Amiga 500, $400. Apparently they like $400.
I'd get a Amiga 500. That'd be cool.
Actually dug my nephews out of storage the other day. Fired up, still works.
Yep.
It's been through like 5 people, I think. So, yeah.
What else have they got there?
Compact laptop, portable PC. This is the first, get sort of not really
These
laptop.
not just web pages that he's had there for 20 years, are they?
No,
They're
these
actually current prices.
Yeah.
They just look like they were made in 95.
Well, they're probably still ones he had for sale when I was there in 95.
No, I mean the style of the website.
Oh, yeah, the website's amazing. Like, it's
Didn't you say you made this 20 years ago and they still use the same one?
In 98, 99, I designed this website.
There you go. That was so good.
It's basically
you should get royalties.
It's pretty much exactly the same, except
wait. What was that down the bottom? Go back down again. What's that green thing?
Yeah, that.
It's GeoCities. You put this on GeoCities, didn't you?
Originally, yes.
Is there where's the email now link with the animated envelope going into a letterbox?
Not there.
They took it off?
Taken it off. Yeah, it was there. There's actually no... Oh, maybe... Hang on. Where's there a contact? No, they don't have a... What? Oh, no, they've just got the address there now.
They just got a link that can be scraped and used to spam.
Yeah, that's right. So, but the funny thing is, see this wall of boxes of stuff behind him here?
Yep.
Most of this was there when I was still there. Okay, well, that's an old picture of my old workstation because they're AMD 850s. That's when the AMD 850s come out, so that's how old that is.
Oh, cool.
What's here? Wow, what have we got going on here? Let's have a look. Oops. Oh, great. Now I've done it. Hang on. Come back. What's he got going on over here? Can't really see. Elite group. Yeah, next one. Come on. There we go. So we got... Okay. This is all Grantech stuff that we used to import. And those boxes haven't changed in 10 years.
No. Neither is that photo.
No, pretty much. Neither's that logo. I designed that logo in 98, so...
Nice. Yeah, mad skill. And how come you're not a Photoshop artist now?
It wasn't really a thing when I was doing it. It's like web pages. I did web pages back then, but it wasn't really something that anyone did.
Yep.
And if I go into the history, I'm pretty sure that...
Any websites you see made by me were made by a cool little application called Arachnophilia that was a text editor that had built-in formatting and colouring for HTML documents and automatic commands and stuff.
This is a business report that I did back in about 97, and it's still exactly the same, including the old building. Me.
Are you not there?
That's me there. That's a wall of 12 and 13-inch CRT monitors.
Nice.
This shelf behind me was all floppy drives, or floppy disks.
Yep.
This was my workstation. Where I could do... There was actually...
Where you could hook up 6 monitors to one computer and multiplex.
Other way around. One monitor per computer. There was... I could do 6 here and 6 on the other side of the workbench, so I could roll out 12 systems at once.
Nice.
And then on the far bench over there was the printer workshop. And then, well, there you go. That tells you the era. There's your XP. The brand new rollout for the XP logos.
Get it now. It's going to be popular, guaranteed.
Well, that's our LaserJet 2E.
Yep.
Or 3E, whatever it was. That one there. That was our Windows 2000 server.
Wow.
So it was, yeah.
High tech.
So yeah, I did all this. Well, I can't believe this. They haven't changed. It's exactly the same. So they're 2002, 2003.
Turnover.
That's just sad, guys. Seriously.
Time to update.
Yeah. Anyway, enough of that. It's just depressing.
Oh dear. So, yeah, did you ever have Apple Macintosh?
Classic.
Classic.
I had the color one, so it must have been a Classic 2 or whatever it was.
Was that 16-bit or 8-bit?
Well, no, that'd be 16 because yeah.
It was upgraded.
Yeah.
A bit like the 2GS we have here on the next page.
A mate of mine had one of those. The keyboard was the weirdest thing.
Yeah, they were. I remember I never had one, but I had used one in a couple of places. In between, Apple managed to pop out a new platform that was a hybrid of the Apple II and the Macintosh, called the Apple 2GS. It advanced the Apple II line into a 16-bit platform and offered some of the same graphical toolbox features of the Mac at an Apple II price. The Apple IIGS was named for its new graphics and sound features. It was Apple's first graphics computer with color capabilities. The Mac still had a monochrome display. The Apple IIGS also provided the most impressive music capabilities of any home computer of its time via an Ensoniq sound synthesizer chip. Largely the brainchild of Steve Wozniak, the 2GS also pioneered ADB, a Wozniak-designed daisy-chainable serial bus for keyboards and mice that delivered many of the features of Intel's USB 10 years in advance. ADB featured a hardware power-on function in the keyboard, something that newer and faster USB doesn't.
Yeah, it was a weird sort of D-shaped port from memory.
Yeah. And those keyboards, you're right, were very weird. They still had, like, you can almost tell, still had the one-button mouse on everything.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
The stupid part was the keyboard sloped that way and the mouse sloped that way.
Yeah.
So the Ensoniq Soundscape was the original Soundscape, first foray into the sound market. It was a full-length ISA digital audio wavetable equipped with 2 meg of built-on ROM.
Nice.
The Soundscape DB, which was the second one, which was a daughterboard add-on, which I'll show you what I mean by that. So this was the sound card itself, but you can see this chip here, which was the DSP chip, which allowed the more processing power, sat on top of this board. So you could increase the capacity there, and of course you could have other DSC. So it was high-end ISA, offering the highest quality MIDI quality of any PC sound card ever made.
Nice.
And then they used them in the gateways, and no one ever heard of them again.
Yep.
Audio PCI. Oh, okay. So they then went into these audio PCI hardware, the software sound cards.
Oh, okay.
That never worked on anything ever.
Bit like those software modems that we had back in the day that never worked anywhere.
I reckon I would still have a couple of these kicking around somewhere, and I bet you they still don't work.
They work just as well as they did the day you bought them.
Right.
Not at all.
Man, especially if you used to play games in DOS.
Yep.
Like, just seriously. Why?
Couldn't keep up, could they?
Well, Creative Labs sort of started to come out about then and just dominated with their... Because you got to think, these guys started in 85 making sound cards, and they basically ran through to 2002, which actually isn't a bad run.
Yep.
But I guess Sound Blaster by default now is what most people, at least regular PCs, is, you know. I mean, there's Mbox and Digital Audio and a few others, but yeah, I guess everyone thinks of the Sound Blaster now. But back in the day, there was ESS, there was Gravis Ultrasound, there was
Gus.
Yeah.
I so badly wanted one. I was so close to ordering one as well. Speaking of, since you brought up the subject, you can trace the evolution sound card from the PC speaker to the Tandy 1000 Disney source sound. Remember that? Sound Blaster, Sound Blaster Pro Audio Spectrum 16, Gravis Ultrasound, Monster Sound PCI, the whole Oriel Sensora EAX era, and finally today, where the majority of games do well enough, relying on an integrated motherboard audio, which is all I think I've got here anyway.
Yeah, I'm running a internal Sound Blaster X-Fi plus my hardware mixer, which is USB Audio Design's Mbox mixer. So it's a whole different animal these days. Yeah.
Early on, the PC speaker was only capable of very simple beeps and tones in-game, except for the rear title with speech synthesis produced purely via the CPU. Even the Commodore 64 could do that, and the Apple. Creative Sound Blaster brought us into the modern era with 8-bit 22 kHz monaural audio. Next came the SB Pro with stereo audio, and then came PAS 16, which brought CD quality audio and a beefy amplifier actually to the mainstream PC. I think we've quite a few of each of those.
Yeah. You know,
start off with the bleeps and blops in Commander Keen and things.
Well, you know what my favourite hack to put on a Windows system back in the day?
There was a driver to put audio out through your PC speaker.
Yep, PC speaker driver for Windows 3.1.
Yeah, I had that once. You couldn't do much else while it was doing that, but it could play it.
Oh yeah, you can play WAV files in all their glory.
Only somewhat scratchy and
horrible. And
horrible
actually,
sound,
well, no, I actually had back in the day. I had my PC speaker, cut the ends off, put an aux cord on it, and had it running through my amp. And it actually didn't sound completely horrible. Like, it was fairly listenable.
Yep. Didn't care. It was just cool to do.
I was the only one that had sound, so as far as I was concerned, it was the best thing ever.
It was finally the Gravis Ultrasound that brought wavetable MIDI synthesis to the masses. I remember I used to watch a lot of PC demos. Yep. I was Commodore 64. I watched so many demos, and games sort of came second, and then the PC brought out all these demos, and all the demo guys got, Gravis Ultrasound this, Gravis Ultrasound that. I was like, why did Gus so bad? With each product generation, new technology brought measurable and noticeable benefits to the consumer. Things sounded better, By the end of the DOS era, you were no longer seeing the dramatic quality improvements that had happened over the years in the past. The introduction of 3D and surround audio in PCs brought a brief but intense era of competition where Oriole, Sensora and Creative Labs EAX fought for dominance. But with today's powerful CPUs, offloading the audio workload is no longer a major issue. Look at this big beefy card here, Diamond. Monster Sound from Diamond.
Oh, Monster Sound. That was the same as Monster. They did a video card too. They used the Trident 3D chipset.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, Diamond. They had usually had they were Visa card generally and had the removable rectangle memory slots.
Oh, yeah. The percentage of total computational power required for audio processing is negligible when it comes to quality itself. Most sound cards are good enough. Though there is a small market for ASIO-capable professional recording devices, the facts speak for themselves. Sales of Creative Labs sound cards in 2008 were 12% lower than those in 2007. 2007 were 22% lower than those in 6. Sales in 2006 were 12% lower than 5. Sales in 5 were 18% lower than 4. So do the math and you realise that from 2000 to 2007, sound card market collapsed by 80% over 7 years. Audiophiles can argue over the subtle nuances that one DAC has over another in terms of musicality or noise floor, and point to increasing popularity of HDD-based music servers as proof that the PC audio has potential to offer reference quality audio. Well, I don't disagree. The majority of games and consumer applications already sound great with today's sound cards because the software isn't designed to take advantage of high-resolution audio.
That's it.
So,
I mean, my first PC sound card was the Creative Music System sound card. Was in my 286.
that
was the first one I had, which had
it had a volume.
Hardware volume control, and it had your RCA outputs.
Yep.
So that was the first one I had.
Be in a box.
Yeah. I never had the Sound Blaster 1, but I had the Sound Blaster 2.
I think I must
with
have
the
had that one.
the upgradable. I had the upgradable FM chipset and memory chipset you could upgrade.
Yep.
Back in the day when they were single layer boards that you could replace the resistors on yourself. So I've still had hardware, but at this point they now introduced a MIDI port and you could use it as a joystick port.
Ah, yeah. I used to
And then the Sound Blaster MCV, which I had in
a long one, aren't they?
Yeah, they were full. You had to have a full size case.
Yeah, I remember you buy something and you put in buy a case and then you put in the power supply, and then suddenly your cards wouldn't fit anymore because the power supply was at the back of the case taking up the space. You're like, oh, damn it won't fit.
Well, this ended up going into my email server for that exact reason, because it's the only thing it would fit into my 386 email server. Now I had, was it that one? No, I skipped the Sound Blaster Pro. I had the Sound Blaster Pro 2.
Mm-hmm.
That looks like an IDE slot. That's not an IDE slot. No. It's a reverse IDE slot that you could plug I think it was a 2-speed CD-ROM into, that had a remote control that let you
only a Creative Labs one though.
Yeah, had a remote control that you could actually play the CDs with the remote.
Yep.
Still had the hardware volume at this point, and then the Sound Blaster 16 bits.
Yeah,
the ISA stuff started to come out. Now I never had the 16. My mates had that, but by the time I upgraded to my 486, they had the Vibra card come out. So I had that in my 486 when it first came out. It was the first of the 2.1. I
remember this Phone Blaster 28.8 Vibra plus modem built into the one thing. It's like terrible. Well,
that was the one I had, which was exciting at the time, but yeah, completely useless, especially once you started to hit DOS.
Yeah.
So then I got the no, I didn't get the All 32. I skipped that one. I had the Sound Blaster. I had the Sound Blaster 32 ISA with the upgradable 30-pin DIN slots.
Ah, nice.
So you could actually put, they didn't have onboard RAM on it, so it was quite slow if you didn't, but you could put up to 8 meg of 30-pin DIMM in it. So at the time, my 486 had the first of 72-pin slots, but my old 386 had 30s. So I rated my 386, put the 30 pins in this, so I had 8 meg of RAM in 30 pin in this, had 4 meg of RAM in 72 pin in my motherboard. So my sound card had more RAM than my motherboard did.
That's hilarious.
The Or 64, we built a media system back in the day when Windows 95 came out.
Yep.
Well, it'd be about right. Once Windows 95 got a bit popular, Pentium probably 100. We actually put this in to create a proper media center where we could actually play DVDs with the help of a DVD hardware decoder card.
Nice.
It was a proper 32.
Did you play DivX on there as well?
Yeah, that's what it was built for, and gaming and stuff like that. And then they obviously started to go to PCI. This is the main one that everyone would sort of remember, the Sonic Audio PCI sort of looking card. That was probably the most common one. Bollocks if it ever supported DOS properly. And then they later on they bought back the Sound Blaster Live.
I'm sure. Yes, I definitely had one of those. I think I only just gave it away one or 2 years ago on like Free Cycle or something.
Well, my Sound Blaster Live is now in my in-laws' computer that is built for them. So so it's still going. Fantastic sound quality, amazing.
Turtle Beach, I remember that. I got Turtle Beach headphones.
A lot of people have got Turtle Beach headsets.
No, wait, this is Logitech. I did get a Turtle Beach, but it wouldn't work in my Mac. And
then they started obviously getting later on the new Sound Blaster Audigy. Yep. Now I had that as a predecessor to the Sound Blaster X-Fi that I've got now. Mm-hmm. Didn't really like it. It was a really slow card. Ugh. It was a horrible delay. It was, advertised as 24-bit, which is what I did it. But it really wasn't. It was really only a 16-bit card, oversampled software, overdriven, basically.
Kind of reminds you of those scanners that came out and they would do like 24,000 DPI or some weird number, and it's like, no, it does 300 and then it just interpolates up to a bigger number and it looks crap.
Exactly. Like there's a projector I was looking at on eBay, $95 for a 1080p projector, but you read it, it's only 480 by 360.
Yeah.
This one here's the one I was running.
Fatality.
This is what I'm running now, the X-Fi Extreme Gamer.
Nice.
The funny thing is, this was released in 2005.
Yep.
Still as of 2012, it was still winning, still one of the best things. Then they updated it a little bit. I've got the slightly updated version. It's a little bit shorter. Yep. Stops at the back of the PCI bus there. And it's got a fan on it to keep it cool. But that's basically what I'm running now. Then they get into the Recon stuff, the new what's it called? What's that? I got a complete blank. What that the chipset's called? The small one.
See on there.
I got a complete blank.
Basically a Recon 3D PCIe with some extra accessories.
So I switched over to the X-Fi. Then they started bringing out the new insane stuff, which uses the PCIe slots and stuff like that. And they're
I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah. This is what's this
Z series thing? Never even heard of it.
Looking at my case right now, and I believe this is actually what I'm running. Yep, it is. I forgot I upgraded to that.
So you don't have the X-Fi?
No, I don't. I don't know what I've done with it. Oh, yes, I do. That's
it's gone with your modem.
No, I gave it to my nephew, and okay. The X-Fi was also available in a USB variant.
Yep.
And I've got that. I've given that to Sonia. So, but yeah, I'm running. Where is it? This one, the Sound Blaster Z.
Wow.
That's the one I'm running now.
So what's cool about that? It's got Cirrus Logic.
Yeah, Cirrus Logic, 116 decibel signal noise ratio, 600 ohm amplifier built in. It's pretty insane actually.
Beamforming microphone.
Yeah.
The ZX is the same, but it replaces the bundled microphone with external audio control module, which is basically an extension cord for your headphones.
Yeah, you put it in your I don't know. I don't have that one, so I don't know what all the stuff is.
ZXR.
The ZXR I was looking at, but it was like 10 times the price and didn't really do a lot, so I sort of didn't worry about it. And then USB stuff. So the
Sound Blaster Jam.
X-Fi GoPro was the last USB one I had that I gave to my gave that to Son. It's good. It's a USB 3 sound card.
Right.
So yeah. Cool. They give you the colours because I could never remember what they bloody were. Still to this day, I can't remember what.
No. You just plug things in until they work.
Yeah, you can reach around the back of the computer. I do it every time.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there and I'm like, I need to plug my headphones in. Nope. Try this. Nope. Try this. Nope.
Where'd that noise come from?
Go over one too far and you stick it in the fan. That's not it.
Never have stuck my fingers in the fan of a computer, except for several times.
I've never, put a pen in there or. The fan gets noisy, so you just shove pens and whatever you've got in there to shut the thing up.
Yep. Oh, here's something interesting. Speaking before about the PC speaker, it's got listen to the PC speaker sounds. See if I play this video. I remember these kind of music.
The modem sounds.
Yeah. What else we got? J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings music.
And it's one channel, 8-bit glory.
Can barely play that one. Space Racer music construction set. Rendezvous with Rama. IBM PCjr. I remember seeing about those things. I never had one.
Yeah, I've never had one. Where I was working had one. And all I can remember about it is we had to keep opening the case and pushing the memory back into the board. Like once a day, every time you started it up.
The PCjr was released by IBM in 1984 as an attempt to provide better competition for Apple in the home computer market. The PCjr included features designed to appeal to home users such as infrared wireless keyboard, cartridge slots and expansion hardware could be installed without opening a computer. More importantly, the PCjr featured enhanced graphics and a sound chip that could play 3 voices simultaneously rather than just one voice of the original IBM PC.
Ooh,
IBM contacted the game company Sierra Online, asking them to design a game that would show off the enhanced graphics and sound of the PCjr. The result was King's Quest. The game became an enormous hit, saving Sierra from failed investment in cartridge-based games just before the video game crash of 1983 and spawning a series that lasted 14 years. There's a Tandy 1000 with the same music from before.
Yeah, well, those same drivers, same thing.
That sounds a lot nicer.
This was my X-Fi USB one that I was telling you about that they made.
Yep.
It comes with a little remote control and
it's around 5.1
Pro.
Pro.
So does he actually open it? No, he reads the box. There you go.
Ah, cool.
That's what it's like. Yeah. Hardware volume control and
yep.
It has all your. That's what I loved about it. It had the box plus a headphone plus optical.
Oh, okay.
So I thought that was pretty neat.
Yeah.
Because everyone uses optical audio these days.
Yep.
Wasn't that one of the?
It never went anywhere.
They hung on to it for years, though, haven't they?
Yeah.
They're determined that they want it to work.
1987 Adlib music synthesizer. A few different cards were available to purchase in 1987, but a few people other than professional musicians were aware of them. Sierra Online did again, and this is what it sounds like, that tune again from Adlib.
Yeah, Adlib was a very good sounding card, but if I'm not mistaken, it was incredibly expensive.
Yep.
If I remember correctly.
A lot of stuff had to have Adlib compatibility eventually though, right?
A lot of stuff tried to have Adlib compatibility.
Yeah.
I remember never having any success getting games, for example, like Duke 3D, and they had it in the tab, but to actually get it to work was...
Haven't heard of this one before, the Roland MT32.
Oh, the Rolands. Oh, you want to talk about sound quality?
Connected externally to a computer via MIDI interface.
Yeah.
Digital samples. See what that one sounds like.
Amazing.
Just loading up the tune there.
Yeah.
If it could just play for me, that would be great.
Or not. But basically, the Adlib used Yamaha chipset, and the Roland was a direct competition to the Yamaha, of course. Keyboards, in particular, musical keyboards.
Roland was it.
Well, Yamaha and Roland were the two main competitors, so they both struggled with making sound cards as well.
Yep.
And I think it's hard to say. It really is. I think the Roland had it, but the Roland was a very unforgiving sound. It was, if you wanted to record music like MIDI, or you wanted to create, like in Fruity Loops, you wanted to create a track, best card ever.
Yeah.
To actually use it for anything on a normal workstation or a normal PC, gaming wise, or anything like that, no. Wow, the rain all of a sudden.
Bit for you.
No wonder it's been so muggy.
This website's having trouble playing any more music further down. Waiting for cache.
So,
creative.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I had the I think it was yeah. Actually, I think I'll have to double check. I have a sneaking suspicion my nephew still has his.
Oh, okay.
I remember when I first got a 286 that had that card in it. I'm like, what is that? Whoops. Oh, great. Where'd it go? What is it really? No, where'd it go? Hello. Had that card in it. And that, because all in the back, it had a earphone socket and a knob. I'm like, what on earth?
So the Gravis Ultrasound that we were talking about before, there are many who believe Gravis is the company who should have won the sound card wars in the early 90s. During this time, Creative Labs dragged their heels a bit, improving Sound Blaster slowly because no other company posed any real competition. During this time, Creative's flagship product was the Sound Blaster Pro, which featured two Yamaha YM3812 chips for stereo music and had the ability to record stereo sounds up to 22.05 kilohertz and mono sounds up to 44.1. However, the sample size was still limited to 8 bits. The Gravis Ultrasound represented a major step forward out of the box. It could play 16-bit sounds and record 8-bit sounds with a maximum sample rate of 44. It was also possible to upgrade this ultrasound with an add-on board that allowed it to record 16 bits full CD quality. So let's try one of these. Descent. That was really good.
That was great.
Especially the music on that for Gravis Ultrasound.
Yeah, they definitely did pretty good, especially when they were optimizing for it. But once again, it was the case of in Windows, it was fine. Try and play something in DOS, not so much.
Yep. And the Creative Labs Sound Blaster 16. Look at these old games too. Descent with that one. Ah, the retro music. Nostalgia, nostalgia.
Go the OR 32.
I don't even know I had Descent 2 existed. I don't think I ever played that one.
It was on the Windows 95 CD, wasn't it? Or was that the first one?
First one, I think.
It was on the ME CD.
Oh, okay, yep.
Yeah. Because everybody got that.
ME, yeah, that was great. And then modern sound cards with Elder Scrolls 4. Sound in non-IBM computers. Commodore 64. Ah, it's one of my favourite games. Commando. Dun, dun, dun. Rob Hubbard wrote that in one night. They invited him up to the office where they're programming a Commodore 64 version of the arcade game Commando and said, can you make this? So he stayed all night, programmed it, and just before he left the next morning he loaded on the music onto every single computer, had them all playing at once, then took his check and went home. Just for the overnight. And
that other game looked in no way at all like Super Mario Brothers.
Great Gianna Sisters, yeah, they got sued for that.
Gee, I wonder why.
And this is the Amiga with Turrican 2, which was a popular game. Sounds really cool. I mentioned down here, because tracker music was typically the format of choice in demo scene community, it was only natural that many demo competitions will also have a category of tracker music compositions. Fountain of Sighs won the prize for Best 4-Channel Music Competition at the party in 1995. One of the companies that I have been a fan of and involved with over the years is Astraware, and they've just bringing out a mod tracker at the moment that they're promoting a lot of the old tunes and things. Let's see if I can find their Facebook page. Give them a bit of a plug, why not? So here we go, TrackerFM, and they're doing Mod Track of the Week, where they're playing the tune. Commodore Amiga is 30 years old today, so mod of the day is Amigas by Ultimate Sound Tracker creator Karsten Obarski. Ultimate Sound Tracker was the first tracker authored program. It's believed to be that Amiga's the first mod that he created. Nice.
Some of the sound stuff, recording and sampling and editing that was on the Amiga 500 was insane.
Yep.
It was just so powerful back in the day.
So, eventually the PC market, industry standard PCs trailed far behind the Mac, choosing instead to incrementally advance the old text-based applications from the previous generation. Microsoft wanted Apple to deliver its new generation of graphical system software for the PC, but the earlier generation of text-based computers weren't able to run a rich Mac-like environment. Microsoft itself struggled to deliver its Windows product for PCs, but had little success over the next 5 years until the release of Windows 3.1 in 1991. Here's something Mr. T can talk a lot about. The 520 ST. In 1985, Atari Corporation introduced its new 16-bit computer system called the 520 ST, 520 being the memory size and ST for 1632-bit processor. The Atari ST originally had its OS delivered on floppy disks since the OS ROMs were not ready for shipping. The 520 ST represents a major step forward in computing design and OS design. However, many rough spots do show through, and this is most likely a result of the machine being rushed to market to gain a lead on the soon-to-be-released Amiga computer system, which was bought by Commodore, and the money that Atari had been supplying to Amiga for development to use the technology in Atari 1850 XL computer before the Tramiels bought Atari was paid back. The ST computer utilised the Digital Research GEM interface for graphics environment. As an interesting note, Apple Computer sued Digital Research for the GEM look and feel on the PC version, and Digital Research was forced to change it. How Apple never sued Atari or Digital for the version used on its Atari STs. Perhaps Apple felt that the Atari STs were not going to be enough of a threat to merit a lawsuit. So, were you saying you had one of these fellas?
Yeah, I had one of these. I didn't use it as much as my Commodore and my Amiga. I had the color monitor with this, which they retailed when they were new, $800 with the monochrome or $1,000 with the color monitor. They ran from June 1985 to 1993, believe it or not. I think I actually had one of the later ones because mine had the firmware and everything bundled on it, so I probably had the later versions, and I had the 4 meg of RAM, which I think the original ones were 512.
Yep.
Yeah, it was okay. The biggest thing I noticed with mine was after a while, you had the function buttons across the top.
Those diagonal ones?
Yeah, and I don't know if they were like underneath on the memory. I don't know if they were mechanical keys like the normal keys. I think they were soft keys.
Yep.
and mine I found were either wouldn't work or wouldn't work very well, or you'd press it and you'd press it that hard that it'd trigger the one next to it.
Oh.
So that kind of turned me off using it. I mean, I had a few games I quite enjoyed. It wasn't too bad, you know.
Do you remember any of the games?
I'm just trying to think now. I'm quickly looking through a list to see if there's... I've got a list of games here for it. I'm just trying to see if there's any here that I actually had. I'm pretty sure it had... Oh, yeah, it had this really weird file manager thing. I can't remember what it was called off the top of my head. I think it was GDOS. I think they called it. Yeah, it was GDOS. It was kind of a cross between the Amiga 500 sort of file manager and a really early Apple interface.
Right.
Where it was GUI to the extent that the mouse cursor moved. It didn't, like, you couldn't really, you could click on like the four bars at the top, like you had file and run and edit and stuff like that. You could click on those with it.
Yep.
But everything else, yeah, everything else was still done command prompt. So it was kind of really obscure. I don't even know how to describe it really, but
didn't they have something like a 1020 that was an upgrade of it or something? I vaguely remember.
Yeah, I don't think that was an upgrade.
No,
I think it was an entirely
version.
different machine. Yeah,
that's what I mean, an upgraded version of that to a newer machine.
The other weird part too, back in the day, it had standard RS-232 ports.
Yep.
For like the mouse port and stuff like that was run off that. It had the normal. It had a stupid 13-pin round video connector, the same as the Amstrad used. Believe it or not, it was, you could actually plug the Amstrad into monitor into it. So for some reason they use exactly the same connector on that. I'm not sure what happened there.
Compatibility for the win. That's why they won the market, right?
Yeah.
Both Amstrad and Atari. What happened to Amstrad?
Amstrad is still kicking nothing as far as I can aware.
What do they do now?
Didn't they merge with AMD or ATI or something like that? I'll have to look it up. I can't remember now. They had the other problem they had was you had to put the discs in upside down because the form factor of the case, that was the Amstrad I had, the 464, or one of them. Yeah, they had the case. The form factor of the case made the heads had to be on the bottom.
Yep.
So when you put your floppy disks in, you had to make sure you put the floppy disks in upside down.
That's bizarre.
Which then led to the problem that disks aren't designed to work upside down, and when the motor spins them, the disks actually rub on the felt.
Oh, okay.
They're not free floating anymore because they're designed to be lifted slightly when the mechanism goes in. So they sort of had this magnet thing on them to like hold them up a bit while they were spinning them, or
Still
I don't know.
Good enough.
Yeah, there was. Not only was it incredibly slow.
Here we go. 1997, Amstrad PLC was wound up. Its shares being split into Vigeland and Betacom instead. Betacom PLC was then renamed Amstrad PLC. The same year, Amstrad supplied set-top boxes to Australian broadcaster Foxtel. Let that sink in for what? And in 2004, Italian broadcaster Sky Italia. In 2000, Amstrad released first of its combined telephony and email devices called the Emailer, which was followed by the Emailer Plus in 2002 and E3 video phone in 2004. Amstrad's UK emailer business is operated through a separate company, Amserve Limited, which is 89% owned by Amstrad and 10% owned by DSG International PLC, formerly Dixon's. Amstrad has also produced a variety of home entertainment products over the history, including hi-fi, televisions, VCRs and DVD players. In 2007, B-Sky B announced a takeover of Amstrad for $125 million, or £million. B-Sky B had been a major client of Amstrad, accounting for 75% of its sales for set-top box business, having supplied B-Sky B with hardware since its inception in 1988. Market analysts have noted two companies becoming increasingly close, Two commented he wished to play a part in the business, saying, "I turned 60 this year and have 40 years of hustling in the business. Now I have to start thinking about the team of loyal staff. Many have been with me for many years." 2008, it was announced that Sugar had stepped down as chairman of Amstrad, which had been planned since B-Skyby took over in 2007. So, there you go. They do set-top boxes for Foxtel.
That's interesting.
Mind blown.
Some of the software actually was interesting. It had some pretty decent desktop publishing for the time.
Yep.
Like PageStream, which let you... I think PageStream from memory, I'll have to double check now. I think it was the one that all the newspapers actually used. It allows you to overlay text and video and image. Like you put your image on the background, you could overlay text over top of it from memory.
Yeah. PageStream 5 screenshot.
That's 5, yeah. But I think in the earlier days. But I'm pretty sure from it just sounds.
It was available for
like
Windows, Linux, Macintosh, and Amiga. Originally released under the name publishing partner for Atari ST in 1986.
Publishing partner. There you go, that's probably what it was.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of the old newsrooms used to use these because they were relatively cheap for what they were. They came. You also had things like WordPerfect, Microsoft Write, Atari Works, WordWriter. Had Lotus, I believe, as well.
Yeah, I was just going to say Lotus had something.
Yeah, good old Lotus Notes. Now, whatever happened to Lotus Notes? That was a cool bit of software. I actually used to like that quite a lot.
Yeah, quick brief history. The Amiga was originally known as the Lorraine. Atari offered a $500,000 loan in exchange for the Lorraine's motherboard design. The loan would have to be paid back in 1 month, and if Amiga was unable to repay the loan, the entire Lorraine project would be forfeited to Atari. As you can guess, I've skipped through a heck of a long prehistory to something interesting here. Nobody Amiga liked the plan, but there was no alternative, so the company accepted. Atari knew that Amiga wouldn't be able to cover the loan and would be forced to cede Lorraine for a fraction of its real price. In a corporate coup at Commodore, Jack Tramiel walked out of the company with much of its engineering staff and bought Atari from Time Warner. He used the Amiga deal to get back at Commodore and sued the company for interfering with the deal. The unsuccessful suit served only to pique Commodore's interest in Amiga's technologies. Commodore bought Amiga and repaid Atari's loan days before it was due. Lorraine was later renamed to Amiga and would be released in 1 year. Commodore had no experience in the console market and decided to pitch the Amiga as a home computer, the successor to their wildly successful Commodore 64. A brand new case was also designed with the characteristic keyboard space below the display. By late 1984, the Amiga's hardware was finished, but the operating system and GUI were still lagging behind. Commodore, worried it would miss its ship date, decided to adopt an existing operating system. This I did not know. Tripos, Trivial Portable Operating System, which was licensed from Metacom Co., a company founded by Dr. Tim King to market his OS. Tripos was not nearly as advanced as the operating system that Dale and Jay had wanted, but it was still far more advanced than the Macintosh operating system. The Mac had been introduced in January, or MS-DOS, which was then at 2.11. Amiga software developers set to work creating a user interface for the new operating system. Instead of using a desktop metaphor, which digital researchers Gem and the Mac OS did, Amiga adopted a workbench metaphor. Files were called projects and were stored in drawers. Developers at Amiga also decided to include a command interpreter with the Amiga, making it more attractive to power users. Since most users would probably use the Amiga with a television set, a high contrast theme of blue and orange was used to make it easier to see. 1987 was the most significant year in Amiga history. Commodore released the German-designed Amiga 500, which cost less than the Atari ST, and began a marketing blitz to sell home users on the Amiga. The scheme was relatively successful in North America, and it was especially effective in Europe, which became the largest market for Amigas. At the end of the fiscal year of 1987, Commodore had posted a $28 million profit and seemed destined to regain its glory days, which it did for a short while.
The Amiga 1000 had a Motorola 68000 CPU running at, and this is the weird part, running at 7.159 megahertz on NTSC, or 7.093 running on PAL.
That's not a problem for programmers trying to get their games to look and feel exactly the same on the two different systems, because you program for one and it ends up being too fast on the other one and unplayable, so you have to change all the feel of it so that it can still be playable and seems like the same version on the other country networks.
Later on, the CPU was removable, which was strange back in the day, but it allowed the 68,000 to be upgraded to the 6810, which was slightly faster. And then later on, you could go right up to the 68882, which basically, it's like these days, like a CPU upgrade. I mean, it was 20% faster between the low end and the top end, but 20% then is a lot different to 20% now.
It was like pressing the turbo button on your IBM PC.
Yeah, because because you always wanted to turn that on to slow, because you always wanted your computer running as slow as possible.
Let's switch turbo off. I want my computer to go slower.
I never
understood too fast. That. It's too good. I can't stand it.
I could never get that understanding.
You just get a you take the wires off and just get a jumper and stick it straight across the turbo and just leave it permanently on. Go, there you go. You don't even need a button.
I used to have mine, because you used to be able to configure the screen back in the day.
Yep.
I used to have high and ho, I think I had. Because you couldn't do an N, but you could do a H, so it was sort of like...
Something to work with, go.
Or
the
high
little LCD screens.
They were great. So it's actually interesting. We're reading the Wikipedia article, and there's a reference. I'm reading down the bottom where it lists references and who wrote what. And John Dvorak, who him. He's been the original old fart geek. But one of his quotes is, the Amiga OS remains one of the greatest operating systems of the past 20 years, incorporating a small kernel and tremendous multitasking capabilities, the likes of which have only recently been developed in OS 2 and Windows NT. This is from 1996, this quote.
Yep. The
biggest difference is that the Amiga OS could operate fully and multitask in as little as 256K additional space. Even today, the OS is only about 1 meg in size. To this day, there's very little memory hogging CD-ROM loading OS can do to the Amiga can't. Tight code, there's nothing like it. I've had an Amiga for maybe a decade. It's the single most reliable piece of equipment I've ever owned. It's amazing. You can easily understand why so many fanatics are out there wondering why they're alone in their love of the thing. The Amiga continues to inspire a vibrant, albeit cult-like community, not unlike which you have with Linux and the Unix clone. So, there you go. If it's good enough for Dvorak...
Good enough for everyone.
That's it.
So anyway, thanks for listening and watching another episode of the Old Fart Geeks podcast. Make sure you subscribe in iTunes or your other favourite podcast application, such as Pocket Cast. You can also watch our show on YouTube at youtube.com/oldfartgeeks. Don't forget to subscribe so you keep up to date with our shows. Click the subscribe and like buttons, leave us a little comment, say hi. You're awesome.
That's it. And if you go to twitch.tv, also twitch.com works as well, as I found out last night, /Obsidian Loft, you can check us out there as well, and you can subscribe so that when we stream, you get the updates, and you can follow us the live streams for the show, as well as various other miscellany that we stream as well. You can also keep up to date with us on Twitter. Our accounts are at Warlock, WAULOK, and Mr. Tomkinson, MRTOMKINSON. And our show's account is at Old Fart Geeks. Music for our show is provided by the Free Music Archive. Don't forget, we also do Obsidian Loft and a few other podcasts, Aussie Tech Heads and that sort of thing. So, yeah. Yep. And thanks for listening. And until next time, I guess, bye for now.
See ya.
Bye.